guys, Hikaru Cosplay here. Before I get started on today's topic, I want to fill you guys in with some updates. I have actively started a Twitch channel, so if you wish to follow me and watch me play games and probably scream through them, then please check out twitch.tv/Hikaru2322. Also, I will be attending Sunday of a convention, and I hopefully will either vlog during the con or right afterwards, so that will most likely be what next week's vlog is about. But today's vlog this week is about something that's become really big in the cosplay community, especially the social media aspect of the cosplay community, specifically Facebook. I've noticed this a lot on, and that is the call-out post. Now there's two kinds of call-out posts. What a call-out post is it's usually someone has something to say negative about somebody, and it's usually, hey, this person's not nice, this person's a terrible person, this person did this wrong, this person harassed that me, da-da-da-da-da, here's my proof, and such and such and such. And call-out posts were, I think at least in the beginning, intentionally meant to make it known in the community, like there may be a creepy photographer or a cosplayer who's just not nice. And I mean, that's still the main purpose, but it's starting to become a little crazy. I don't make call-out posts because that's just not what I do. I may help someone with information or say, oh yeah, I do know that this photographer isn't great or whatever. And I'm not gonna name names during this video unless it's something specific like I'm gonna get to. Call-out posts can be good or bad. It just kind of depends upon the point. And frankly, it's ridiculous how many there are and how frequent it is, and the hysteria that comes with it sometimes. Everyone's got their opinion on call-out posts, so please feel free to let me know in the comments or share a story or whatever. So the first type of call-out posts are cosplayer related. This is typically about a female cosplayer, a very well-known cosplayer, famous cosplayer, and it's usually talking about this person's not nice, and the person who makes the call-out post is usually they have a personal problem with that cosplayer, like they had a bad experience or whatever. Typically there's not really screenshot proof. It's usually just them saying, hey, I've worked with this person, or I met this person and this happened. It's happened in the past multiple times regarding Yaya Han, and a month or a couple weeks ago it happened with Jessica Nigri. It's very common and happens a lot with very well-known female cosplayers. I will say the cosplay community, you either love a well-known or famous cosplayer, or you hate them, or you're indifferent, really. You don't care. There's really no reason to hate these kinds of cosplayers. A lot of them have talent, and there's really no reason to make up something or whatever. And I'm not saying that these people made it up, but it's very easy to make up this kind of thing, or to just misconstrue a personal experience that you had with them, like a 5-second conversation, and easily misconstrue it. I try not to pay attention too much to those kinds of... I like to judge for myself in person how a cosplayer is before I really listen to somebody's thing on the internet. Jessica Nigri's recent one was about her donation and how she uses money and all of that. There was no physical evidence presented in the original post, so I try not to, join the pillaging party, pitchforks and torches, unless there's a lot of physical evidence involved. So it's just kind of be careful when you're reading these call-out posts. It's very easy to get swept up in the mayhem and the hysteria and just, yeah, this person's terrible, let's get him. It's very easy to get into that mentality, but just take a step back, examine the facts, and maybe judge for yourself. Now, when it came to Jessica Negri not donating like her donation came from a company and she didn't say was what the accusation was, or her sponsorships. Honestly, I don't care about cosplayers who get sponsorships and whatever and da-da-da. I don't care. I don't really have an opinion to talk about that. So the second kind of call out post is typically around a male photographer. Female cosplayer, male photographer. These are typically such and such happened, either a conversation you had or a photo shoot you had or whatever. This guy's a creep. Don't work with him, don't interact with him, da 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 da. This is something I take a little bit more seriously because as the community grows, you know, we get more young people in it, and it also attracts questionable people. So you have to be very careful when you're working with a photographer or setting up to work with a photographer you don't know. And if you at any point feel uncomfortable, you have every right to stop that shoot or stop interacting with that person, or just say, you know what, no, I don't want to shoot with you, whatever. And I always make sure I do a little bit of research on a photographer before I work with them. If I haven't worked with them before, ask around, hey, have you heard about it? And if I have a friend who's gonna go do a photo shoot, I ask them afterwards, hey, was that photographer good, if I've never worked with them before? So I take a lot of stock in what other people say about photographers, just because partially about the creeps and guy with camera thing, but also partially I want to make sure that if I'm paying that person or if I'm spending that time with that person, I want those photos to be nice. I want it to be legit. I don't want to have to wait 6 months or never even get a photo. I don't want these photos to be overexposed. Like, I also take note at what they've shot before, their style, and all of that. Sometimes I will admit I get a little bit put off when a male photographer has only shot sexy female cosplays. Sometimes I get like a little nervous about that because it's like, okay, are you only shooting it because they're sexy or what? So I'll admit I have that predisposition, especially with male photographers. And I'm not saying, you know, you can't have a problem with female photographers or guys can't have a problem, you know, in a sexy costume or whatever, because there are plenty of instances with that. But I'm saying that as a female cosplayer, this is the kind of thing that I look out for. I have never made, again, a call out post. I have provided information for some people. I've kept an eye on certain posts because of personal reasons, and I'm not going to name any names for this one, but there have been multiple instances in the past of just shady photographers. There was one with a guy who was soliciting nudes from underage cosplayers, and that's the true epitome of the call out post, and something you really need to keep an eye out for. And it's a very rare case too. Again, you need to be really careful when you're talking with these photographers. No real photographer asks for nudes or this crazy stuff that this guy was asking for, so be very careful. The whole point of that post to talking about it was to, you know, raise awareness that this guy is not good. He is not good news. Do not work with this guy. And when it comes to photographer call out posts, there is screenshot evidence. There's usually more than one story involved. If it's just one story involved, it's not really much of a call out post, quote unquote. With photographer call out posts, it's multiple instances of cosplayers having problems, screenshot interactions of private messages or comments that this person has made, screenshots of people sharing their stories and such and such. And yes, it's easy in both cases for people to lie about stuff or manipulate and whatever, but I find the case to be very much less true that way when it comes to photographer call out posts. And some people say, oh, those kinds of posts are just made to make people feel unsafe about conventions and whatever. I don't get too wrapped up with the hysteria either in photographer call out posts. I just make a mental note. What also speaks volumes is how that person reacts to said post. And you know, it gets its shares, people get their comments, and they send stuff to that photographer or cosplayer, and you see the screenshot evidence, and how someone reacts to that is true test of character. Now there are cases that I can talk about. When it came to the Jessica Negri thing, she made a big post and video talking about how it's untrue, and she's, you know, sorry anybody ever thought that way. I didn't even really watch it, but it was, from what I heard, it was pretty heartfelt, and she explained a lot. And that, addressing it and not saying this person has problems, is a good show of character. Or if there really was an actual problem, you know, and the person apologizes, that is a good test of character. But there's also the way that it has been worded. There were 2 instances of photographer call-outs that happened. I will not name names. And both of these people have not handled it well, and that just goes to show you that that post was probably right. There was one photographer who just was saying, oh, it was a social experiment of this post that I made, and blah, 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 and just calling people bad names, and it was just very unprofessional and rude. Little show of character there. You know, if that person had admitted, oh, sorry, that, you know, was kind of a messed up post or whatever, you know, you have to take responsibility for your actions, I believe. And then there was another photographer who has had multiple instances of people saying that they have had problems, and he's like, oh, this person has responded like, oh, that happened in the past. Well, if there have been 2 major call-out posts that have happened, you haven't changed. And this person also said, oh, all of my accusers, and named them, they just have mental illnesses and they have problems. Accusing someone of having a mental illness is not a way that's healthy, it's not professional, and that just honestly telling the world that those people and what they were saying about you was right. Like them saying, I was uncomfortable during this shoot, this person did this person did that. There's a, you know, this person made me uncomfortable, they never sent me my photos, they were late, and I would not recommend working with them. There's a pretty good chance that that person was right by you accusing them of having mental illnesses and saying, oh, you can easily say, oh, I've changed, I will change, oh, I'm sorry, but you have to look at the core wording of it. If that person's playing victim, then there's something off. They're playing victim, but in that same post accusing their accusers, quote unquote, of having mental illnesses, there's something off. So you really have to take a look at the wording and the sheer volume too. The sheer volume of complaints. Ask other people if you see a call out post like, hey, have you worked with that person or heard anything about them? Like, is that right? Like, do you think that could be true? That happened? And I will admit I've had personal experiences with photographers or other cosplayers that just, put me, just thinking about it puts me in a bad mood. I'll only share that information in person. I'll just say, look, I wouldn't work with that person, or look, I didn't have a good experience with that girl or guy or whatever. I don't really make call-out posts, but again, if someone asks me, oh, I heard you worked with that person, do you have anything to say about it? Is this true? I don't lie. I don't want to lie about that. Thank you for watching this video. I hope this cleared up anything. I may have just raised more questions and contradicted myself. I hope not. Trying to get my ideas out there. If you have any personal experiences of call-out posts, or stories, or comments, or questions, debate, whatever, please comment below, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!